2 laps of the clock on one of the most challenging tracks on Earth. Previewing the Spa 24 Hours next. Hop in, buckle up, and get ready to lay it on the line. This is Not Speeding, Just Qualifying, a podcast that's just as fast as it sounds. Hello, family. Welcome to the Not Speeding, Just Qualifying podcast. I'm your host, David Lawrence, and thank you for listening to today's episode. Before we go any further, I have a question for you. Are you subscribed to our show? If the answer is no, let's change that. Hit the subscribe button here on YouTube or YouTube Music, the Not Speeding, Just Qualifying podcast. And by the way, we're on a mission. 1,000 subscribers before the end of 2026. Hit that subscribe button, tell your friends, and let's reach our goal. Subscribe today so you won't miss anything. It's a party in the Ardennes as the biggest GT3 race in the world is back. 70 cars representing 10 manufacturers and over 230 drivers representing 33 nationalities. It can only be the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa. As with the 24 Hours of Le Mans, I am teaming up with my coworkers at GT Report to provide supplemental content through the Not Speeding Just Qualifying podcast alongside the website's race coverage. Without further ado, let's begin our discussion on the SRO's Blue Ribbon Showcase. Enjoy our preview discussion for the 78th renewal of the Spa 24 Hours. Who's ready to talk some more sports car racing? And another 24-hour race is on the horizon. We have done the Nürburgring, we have done the big one at Le Mans, and now we got another big one in Europe's rotation of a 24-hour summer, the final piece of the 24-hour summer puzzle in Europe, and that is the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa, part of GT World Challenge Europe. Once again, I'm teaming up with one of my colleagues from GT Report, who is helping me to preview and review, hopefully, the upcoming race weekend ahead. So, and forgive me if I butcher the name, I hope I don't, but with that being said, please welcome to the Not Speeding Just Qualifying podcast, my GT Report colleague, Shanna Lutgert. Shanna, how are you today?
Yes, you pronounced it very well. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Also, my podcast debut as well. I've never been on a podcast before, so I hope I'll be doing well. So yeah, I'm doing good. I'm excited for it, and excited to talk all about these topics as well with you.
Thank you. Shanna, tell me a little bit about you before we get started. How long have you been writing? And I think I heard somewhere you don't just write for GT Report.
No, that's correct. Actually, my starting point is Formula One. So I'm one of those spoiled journalists, actually, who stepped into one of the most, let's say, popular single-seater championships. I started about 3.5 years ago. And I actually decided to study journalism after I started it. So it's sort of choosing your job first before you study actually and are qualified for it, I guess. But I love sports car racing a lot. I'm so excited that I get to do the two championships at the same time, or like multiple championships at the same time. So which I've done for 6 months now as a freelancer. So I have all the freedom to do all of it, which I like a lot.
I love the freelance idea of everything because, like you said, you're not just tethered to one thing, even though I know most of these websites, they like it when you kind of delve and dive into multiple series and topics. So speaking of topics, Shanna, the reason we have you here is the upcoming 24 Hours of Spa, as mentioned. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And the first question I have for you, in your opinion, what makes Spa so tough to win for these drivers?
I think it's a combination of many things. First of all, I mean, the huge GT3 field with all of these competitive lineups. I think that even if you look at like the bronze class, the Pro-Am class, all of them look so good, so ready to to tackle this race that's only on like a 7-kilometer field. So the pack just stays together for 24 hours, basically. It feels like a sprint, even though it takes so long. And yeah, it's like a traffic roller coaster for 24 hours. And I think that's heavy for the drivers. It's heavy for the cars, as the characteristics of Spa are also quite difficult to tackle. And the weather, you never know what the weather is going to do. So I think we talk about it every year, probably, like the Dutch, Belgian, German weather is a topic for all races there, probably. But yeah, I think that's in a nutshell what makes it so tough to survive.
I love how you mentioned just so many factors, like you said, Spa and its undulation, 7 kilometers. By the way, if you really want to see something, and I'm not trying to go too far, I got to invite you to Daytona for the Rolex 24 hours. If you think Spa's fun, try 4 classes, 60 cars, and 5.6 kilometers of that. That's a wild experience. But no, that doesn't take away from how tough Spa is, because instead of the class, like as far as the car class, it's the driver level that really comes into it. For those who don't know, the FIA, they do have 4 different class of driver classifications: platinum, gold, bronze, and silver. And in the 24 hours of Spa, there is basically where there's classes based on driver level, and you have to have a certain amount of drivers for that classification that are in each car, which makes it a little bit more interesting. So, Shanna, I want to go to last year's race. I want to talk about, well, not last year's race, but let's talk about the defending champions, Lamborghini. This year is going to look very, very different for the Bull, because this year they have a brand new weapon, the Lamborghini Temerario. So this going through its paces in World Challenge Europe. Here in the United States, we've seen the car, and it actually got its first podium about a month ago. How do you feel about Lamborghini? And excuse the pun, how bullish are you on Lamborghini going into the Spa?
Bullish on them. I mean, I'm quite neutral on them. Actually, I'm hoping for them that they will be, especially the lineup of Luca, Marco, and Patrick. I think they deserve some redemption after the disqualification on the Nürburgring as well. I think they will go into this race maybe not, I wouldn't say vengeful, but I think they are more determined to, let's say, get what they deserve, I think, because they drove such a stellar race at the Nürburgring, and then they were disqualified, unfortunately. So yeah, I think this will be a new weapon that will give them even more fuel. And yeah, the Huracan, of course, for Lamborghini, it would be great to add another victory to it. I believe in the last 10 years, nobody has done like a back-to-back victories, if I'm correct. So if they would be able to do that, that would be, like a redemption maximized, I would say. And I'm so curious as well to see how the car will be doing in a 24-hour race. I think it was racing on Zandvoort, or did a test day at Zandvoort. I haven't seen it. I've only seen the images going by. But yeah, I'm so excited how it will be. It will be such a test for the car as well. I'm not sure if there's a better test for it than the 24 hours of Spa, looking at all the circumstances that they will have to endure, especially with the heat coming up this weekend. So in this weekend, it will be all about durability, a brake wear, electrical gremlins, so to say, going into this tough race.
And I love you brought up 2 very good points. In the last 6 Spas, 6 different manufacturers. In fact, a manufacturer has not repeated since Porsche did it in 2019 and 20. And the second part you mentioned, this is the Lamborghini Temerario's first 24-hour, because while they tested at Daytona, they did not run the Rolex 24 hours. So I like where you came from, where saying this is going to be its maiden 24. Of course, Lamborghini, they're not in the World Endurance Championship, so they were not able to run Le Mans. So I'm like you. I really am looking forward to seeing what Lamborghini can pull out of here at Spa-Francorchamps as we get ready for this year's running of the 24. So we kind of alluded to this. The Spa 24 hours is a part of the GT World Challenge Europe, and is also the third race of the Sprint Cup. It's also part of the Intercontinental GT Challenge. I know there's so many moving pieces and parts to this. It gets a little crazy at times. But just to give you guys a heads up, to catch you up, the 2024 winners from Comtoyu Racing, they won the first race of the season at Paul Ricard. And then we had a surprise after a very wild day at Monza, where the silver class Tressa a Tempo Audi, which, by the way, does not have factory support, they're on their own, came out with a surprise victory. So, with all that being said, Shanna, and oh God, if you want to touch on that wild Monza day, please feel free to give it about a minute or two, because that was ridiculous. But who do you kind of see based off of, one, the first 3-hour rounds we've had so far, and then two, the test day they had back in May? Who are you kind of leaning towards as race favorites right now for this year?
I always find it so difficult because I feel like even though it's all part of a championship, of course, I really, in my head, they are standalone things where, as of course, so many teams are good on 3 hours, but they also need to be good on 24 hours. Same for the drivers. Of course, I have to admit, I'm a raw racing girly. I'm always rooting for the BMWs. You will always find me cheering for those lineups. WRT again, of course, also it's a home race for them. But yeah, looking at the first races of GT World Challenge, I don't think you can count out the 7 Aston Martin with Mattia, Marco, and Niki. I think they would be tough contenders. Also looking at Aston Martin's performance over the past couple of years, for sure. And I think I'm also looking at Monza. I'm also putting a little bit of a favorite star, I think, on the Boutsen Porsche with Boccolacci, Picariello, and of course my Dutchie Boris Schuring. I think they were on such a great run in Monza, but I think it just didn't. Yeah, the chaos caught them out probably there. But yeah, I'm rooting for them also after what happened to those lineups at the Nürburgring. I think they will be determined to hit back.
Very well said, because it's very much ebb and flow when it comes to GT World Challenge Europe, and there's way too many factors. We haven't even scratched the surface when it comes to balance of performance. We haven't scratched the surface when it comes to driver limits, technical rules, and there's going to be far too much to get into in this little bit of time. But it just comes to show how you mentioned these teams, they're stalwarts. Row Racing, WRT, Comtoyu. These are teams, they know how to do it. Been there, done that. You mentioned some driver lineups. Is the outside of, and we can kind of play with the pros a little bit here too, but is there a name that a lot of people won't know going into this Spa 24 hours that you have a very close eye on, that you would put a pin on and say, look out for this person over these 24?
I never want to do that. I never want to put them on the spot, actually. But yeah, looking at Monza, I mean that Audi winning, I think they were also one of my favorites going into the Italian GT weekend with Rocco Mazzola also on the car, but I believe they had clutch issues why they couldn't partake in the 3 hours of Monza last weekend. But I think that Audi really, I don't think they surprised me, but I think they managed really well with the chaos that was going on. And looking at that complete lineup, I would say also with Ogard and why am I forgetting the name of the third driver? Ogard, Mazzola, and
Ariel Levy, the Israeli.
Yes, Ariel. The Super Cup graduate. I'm so happy for him that he went from Super Cup into GT World. That's such a good step. I'm sidelining now, but coming into this, I think the way they handled the chaos that was going on, I think that would be the same kind of chaos they could experience at the upcoming weekend. So if they manage to deal with that in the field of so many GT3 cars, I think they would be a very good contender for an overall podium and I would say for silver for sure.
I I like that Tresor Tempo Audi, especially with a very big silver class. If I'm looking at the interests now, if I remember correctly, I want to say no, bronze is the biggest with 19, but 16 silvers, that's still a very big field. And one interesting note to add is for the Spa 24 hours only, they do a Pro-Am category, and we got about 9 cars in that one. If I can, let me take us off the track a little bit. Even from a journalist or even just a fan's perspective, what's something that you look forward to? Because I always hear about the festival atmosphere at Spa over the 24 hours. Yeah, you guys come to work, but is there something part of the Spa week, even for a fan to kind of latch on to? Is there something you look forward to during the 24-hour week up there?
Basically just embracing all of that is going to happen. I always go into the weekends saying like usually a lot of Dutch drivers are participating, of course. But some of them I'm in contact, some of them I know a little bit better, and then I also always go into this race from a neutral perspective. But then I find myself always rooting for the Dutchies. Like I just want them to win. I want them to do well, of course, and I think. From a fan perspective, if you find a driver that you support or a team that you support, I think that's one of the nicest things. Also to see it up close. And I hope to embrace both parts. From the journalistic part, to stay neutral, to go into that, and to get all the newsy stuff that's going on behind it. I mean, I think some of the driver lineups may be decided across these couple of weeks. Also, now the 24-hour races are done. I hope to get a little bit of the scoops on the inside, and then enjoy it also from a fan perspective on the other side. Yeah, it's my first time at Spa 24 hours, so I'm not sure yet what to expect for the rest of it, but yeah. I think that's it in a nutshell, if that answered your question well.
Oh, no, that actually works very well because, like you said, as a Spa debutant, I'm interested to hear you come back and tell us about your experience in your journey because I've always I've heard a 24-hour race in Europe has always been a different atmosphere. And from someone who is actually experiencing it themselves, I like how it's always a little bit of a different vibe and a little bit of a different tempo. And to hear it from someone who is doing it for the first time, I love the honesty. I love the sheerness of it. And I can't wait to see the passion on display.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
2 questions to close us out, Shanna. As I mentioned earlier, we have 6 different manufacturers who have won the last 6 about 24 hours. Question number 1 is, do we make it 7? We mentioned Audi. Audi's one of those manufacturers that could make it 7. Would it be Audi? And if not, who would it be?
I mean, thinking of Audi, I think when you mentioned the prologue earlier in May already, I mean the Audi with Haase looked, of course, very fast. I believe he set the fastest time at the end of the day as well. I mean, I think Haase should be one of your favorites always. Looking at that, he's a 2-time winner as well. So I am hoping it for that lineup. But on the other hand, I do think that Porsche has quite some stars on the scene as well. I am a little bit biased for Porsche, so I might think, but I don't know. It's so difficult to decide. I hope we will make it 7, just because it's just a cool stat looking at the different winners, and there's no dominance like across these races. But yeah, let's make it 7, and let's make it Audi.
All right. So I'm going to play with you one more time. I'm going to contradict this. Let's take Audi out of the question. Sunday, 4 p.m. Who comes out of the bus stop? Who wins this CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa 2026?
Oh, the winner. Like overall, you're asking me. So I'm heavily leaning towards the Get Speed Mercedes, the 17. But if it would be I would love to see the Boutsen, the two Porsche stepping on the top step of the podium. That would be my two absolute favorites. And if I can just make a small note on the Bronze Cup.
Go ahead.
I do have a favorite there. I actually have multiple favorites, but if I'm gonna say which one I really think has a good chance for the win would be the 91 Herbert Porsche. I think they did not have a lot of luck in Monza. I think they were caught out at the end while they were going for a podium in bronze class. But with one of my favorite Dutchies, Huub van Eindhoven, I think he's doing so well after stepping up from Super Cup into this endurance journey. He's doing LMS at the side, next to it as well. I really hope for them that it's going to be a good race. So yeah.
Those are some really good predictions, and I definitely like where you're going. I'll take a crack at this. So to answer my two questions, because I'm not going to just do this without putting you on the spot without trying to test myself here. Last 6 winners are Porsche, Ferrari, Mercedes, BMW, Aston Martin, Lamborghini. So that leaves you McLaren, Ford, Audi.
Ooh,
I think those are the main 3 that would leave me a chance to keep the streak going. The only bad thing about that is, unfortunately, I just don't see any team strong enough. Well, I take that back. There's a strong enough team with that HRT Ford that could be a sleeper. But my only issue with them is,
I mean, they are on a roll though. They got the pole in Monza. I think that.
Enough.
But Biney did so well in DTM as well, and I think I believe it was Fabio who was posting on his Instagram showing like the results at Spa that he got in the last couple of years. This circuit does something to him. It's the same for the Nürburgring, but he just can't catch a break over there, which is like, I think it's so sad for him. But I love that Spa is going to treat him well. I hope it's going to treat him well, and I think yes, I will add him to the group of potential winners.
And Ford had a really good Evo they brought to Daytona, and it worked well there. And Daytona, for those who are listening to this and not familiar with how the Rolex 24, if you haven't seen it, it's a very high-speed momentum course in a way of Spa, not as long, not necessarily as technical, potentially, but definitely a lot of high speed. And if there is a 24-hour track that could suit the Ford well, I think Spa would be the place. So I would say if there is one manufacturer I think that could break through, especially if HRT continues performing, I think Ford would be the one to get it done. As far as who I'm going to pick to win this overall, there are way too many good names on this list. 70 cars, you really just have to go out there. First, I'll give you kind of like a little bit of a lower class favorite I like. There is, in the Silver Cup, I want to show the Silver Cup some love here. I like Walking Horse Motorsport. They won silver last year. They have a little bit of a different lineup this time, but they brought back Maxime Robin and Mateo Villagomez, who are part of that winning quartet a year ago for them. I don't see why they can't go back to back again, even though I know BOP and everything else kind of makes it a little funny and weird. But I do like that 35 Walking Horse Ashton in the silver class. After seeing Dorian Pan at Le Mans, I have a soft spot for my ladies, and my outside pick, I can't say no to the number 50 Ferrari. The only thing that's going to make me cringe a little bit, sorry to say it like that, is Sean Galisle. And no offense to Sean, I love Sean. And I think I might be going a little bit more on his Chibi 2F2 exploits. A little bit more in this, because I think he is a better wheelman. But then again, you do have Otto Leclerc in that car.
Yes.
And AF Corsa always has a way of finding themselves in these 24-hour races late. I like that opportunity. I really do. But I'm going to contradict myself really bad here because I said if Ford might be the one to do it. But I'm looking at this number 59 Garage 59 McLaren.
Ooh.
Marvin Kirchhofer, Dean McDonald, Joseph Loki. Spa is one of those races, and you mentioned this earlier, Shanna. You can take a look at everything, throw it out the door race week, because it all matters about the 24 hours in which you got in front of you. Garage 59 probably knows this McLaren better than anybody. Well, they do know this McLaren better than anybody. They run it in GT Europe. They run it in WEC. And they already got a win in WEC this season when they won. Where else? Thank you, Jesus. But the Spa 6 hour.
I mean, I think their WEC experience is going to be very relevant going into this. Also, I mean, another McLaren that is quite high on the list is, I believe is it the 23? I mean, they're 23 in the championship in the the Team RJN McLaren, so in silver class. Yeah, I think they are McLaren experts by now as well.
They are,
but yeah, that's silver class, of course. I think in another lineup that just caught my, I mean, the more you go over the interlist, the more things that are just popping up constantly.
Absolutely.
It's insane.
That's why it's honestly so hard to pick a winner. But
yes,
like I said, I'm going to contradict myself here. I'm going to go, and I may have maybe my WEC antennas maybe misleading me here. But I'm going to go with Garage 59. I'm going to go with Loki, McDonald, and Kirchhofer to pull an upset. And I think it'll be an upset in turns because, of course, while McLaren's ran well, have they really been making as much noise? You could argue no. But this race always has a way of throwing you curveballs and surprises. We've mentioned the rain. We've mentioned the untimely yellows. We've mentioned being in the right place at the right time, avoiding everything that this race can throw at you. And the BOP also could work in McLaren's favor.
Yes.
So
yes,
I'm going to see if my crystal ball comes up bases one more time. It came up for me at Le Mans. I'm going to try for Spa. So put me as a lock for Joseph Loki, Dean McDonald, Marvin Kirchhofer, the 59 Garage 59 McLaren.
Yep. I like that. I like that a lot.
Oh, wow. Shanna, for someone who hasn't done a podcast before, you have been wonderful. Your answers were awesome. Very much spot on. Very much spot on. Definitely want to make sure we plan on doing a post race. It'll be it'll likely be around the same time next week while we're recording on a Monday, but we'll hopefully be recording this time next week too. So when we come back for the post race, let's see how well both of us did on calling these. But Shanna, in the meantime, for those who come across this episode, this will be posted on GT Report tomorrow. We'll post it on the GT Report and on my podcast page tomorrow, on Tuesday. For those who want to follow you during race week, where can we find you on the social media sphere?
Okay, so I think I'm gonna have to spell out my name probably for those who are. But my Instagram is just basically my first name and my last name, which is Shanna, SHANNA, and then my surname is Lutgert, LUTGERT. And if you look for that, then that's me. Basically all socials, I think. I'm also planning to do some vlogs. I'm not sure if the GT Report boss has agreed on that yet, but just to show like what is going on behind the scenes, what I'm doing across the day, because I noticed that many people have no idea what stuff you do if you're not on TV being a presenter somewhere. So maybe that's nice to show a bit of the BTS and how much I'll be going through the trenches on Saturday nights at like 3 a.m. in the morning.
Earth to Miguel, can we get that greenlit, please? And by the way, for those who do want to follow Shanna, I'll put the links in the description box in the show notes. So look for those below when we get down to the end of it. But Shanna, it's been a pleasure meeting you. This conversation has been a lot of fun. Have fun at Spa.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy the week, and we will talk to you next. And we will talk to you next week. Shanna Lutgert for GT Report here on the Not Speeding Just Qualifying podcast and GT Report collaboration. Thanks so much, Shanna.
Thank you.
Thanks again to Shanna for taking time out of her busy schedule to help make this preview possible. To follow all the action, make sure you visit GT Report. That is www.gt-report.com to stay up to date with all the latest from Shanna and the rest of our on-site team at Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps all week long. Time's up as we have reached the end of today's episode. Before we go, a few housekeeping items. Share an idea or series you want us to cover on the show. Email us at dalmotorsports@gmail.com. The email address again is dalmotorsports@gmail.com. Secondly, follow us on our social media. On Facebook, we're at the Not Speeding Just Qualifying podcast. On Blue Sky, we're at nsjqpodcast.bsky.social. And all other platforms, Instagram, X, TikTok, Threads, we're at the handle at NSJQpodcast. Number 3, don't forget to subscribe. Let's get to 1,000 followers and subscribers on all our social media channels before the end of the racing season. And last but not least, if you want to follow me on my personal social media handles, links to those will be in the description box to this episode. This has been Not Speeding, Just Qualifying, a podcast that's just as fast as it sounds. Thanks for listening. I'm David Lawrence, and until next time, you're not living life to the fullest until you're going flat out. Stay blessed, everyone.